of the Oregon City Commission to order for November 4th, 2015. Call the roll.
Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
Commissioner Pauly?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Here.
Mayor Holliday?
Here. So this little 10-minute interlude is just to do the final interview for the open urban renewal seat. Mr. Christopher? Yes. So name and city for the record, please.
My name is Tim Christopher. I live in Oregon City.
Okay. We have a, where to go? There we go. All right, so we have a process here. So, Mr. Shaw.
Yes. Tim, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for applying for this position here, okay?
Thank you for setting up a special time for me since I was on vacation.
Yes,
so.
you're a special guy, okay?
Yeah, I feel very special right now.
All right, so please provide us with a brief introduction of yourself, your background and experience, and why you want to serve on the city's Urban Renewal Commission.
Sure. I was born in Oregon, right downtown, grew up in Lake Oswego. After high school, I went into the Navy for 6 years.
We'll forgive you for that.
So right.
Thank you for your service.
Jealousy is not your color, but that's fine. Came back home, finished my undergraduate from Eastern Oregon in philosophy, politics, and economics. Got my master's degree from Portland State in international relation and comparative politics. Have served on 2 committees for the City of Oregon City, both the Urban Renewal Budget Committee and then the city's Budget Committee. I think I want to serve on the Urban Renewal Committee proper. I think it offers some of the most interesting and exciting opportunities for the city to, for lack of a better term, reinvent itself in a lot of ways. I travel a lot around the state, in particular Hood River and Bend, and they have done, in my opinion, a magnificent job, and I'd like to be part of that. My family's here, my kids are here, and we're going to be here for a while. So.
What do you do now?
Public relations.
Okay.
I work in natural resource advocacy.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Pauly.
In your opinion, what is the role or purpose of urban renewal, and what is your general understanding of how urban renewal works?
Sure. So the purpose of urban renewal, I think, feeds into the commission goals, especially 1, 3, and 5, livability, economic opportunity. I think there's some openings with the commission for the committee for number 4 as well, communications. Some of the conversations I've had with citizens, I think urban renewal is probably one of the most passionate topics for people. Some people love it. Some people think it is just the scourge of the city. But from my discussions with people, I've found that those tend to be, they don't have the whole picture, especially when it comes to like the exterior versus the interior of the building, and people think, oh, where is the landlord's play in all this? And there's some specifics they're not privy to. So when we discuss that, they tend to be much more open-minded. So I think that's one of the biggest avenues for the commission, communicating with the public and explaining how that investment now creates opportunity in the future.
So what's your general understanding of how it works?
How it works. Well, the biggest one is the storefront improvement grant, where there's buy-in from the individual, the landlord, and then so there's a grant depending on the value of the property. You get a certain percentage. So there's money and then additional grants, and then there's interior as well, and plus the like alleyways and those kind of more of the beautification projects. There's some areas of the city that are considered, I guess, blight is what you would call it. So investing in those now is an investment in future economic growth for the city and livability.
Thank you.
Do you have any specific projects or goals for urban renewal that you support, and any experience that could assist with accomplishing this?
Sure. I think the mill site is, I think, one of the biggest opportunities. It's a huge project, kind of mixed use, public space, commercial, residential, all, natural. There's a lot of stakeholders in there, but the city, the state, the county, different, I'm sure, federal bodies are interested in, like, the Falls project as well. The tribes, they do a lot of the fishing there at the falls and all that kind of stuff. I actually have a lot of experience in my current position working with multiple entities when it comes to, like, say, the sage grouse issue on the eastern side of the state, where there was, like, ranchers, conservation groups, tribes, recreation, industry, state, local, federal, all trying to work towards a common goal, and a lot of that. So, so yes, I think that's one of the biggest opportunities for the city. I think it could be a model for, like, for the state and for the country as well. And there's a lot of different entities when it will come to that project, and I've had experience working with multiple groups.
Mr. Smith.
Are there any urban renewal projects or goals that you do not support and that should be eliminated or replaced with other projects or goals?
Not particularly. I think the biggest issue facing the urban renewal right now is more of a communication one than it is the actual projects. I think there's just kind of a misunderstanding in the general public when it comes to what urban renewal does and why it does it. In my opinion, that would be the biggest change I would want to see, is just more of a proactive communication rather than kind of a explain after the fact. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Do you think Oregon City citizens are well informed about urban renewal, and are there ways we could further
Sorry about that.
educate them since
Man,
you've already
answer
addressed that?
No.
All right.
Yeah, there seems to be it tends to be around the interior aspect of urban renewal. All the conversations that I've had with people when they've heard that I was on the budget committee for urban renewal, that tended to be the most contentious issue, that they felt that where is the landlord or where is the property owner's role in all of this? Like, why is the city doing this? Why isn't there private, They don't necessarily have all the pieces to that. How you get from point A to point B and without some kind of, like, paid public relations campaign, I don't know. Maybe that's just like a Facebook page that's filled with all those things, or something along those lines, where it's just an easy access news feed that has all the up-to-date information. I looked on the urban renewal page just this afternoon, and on the city's page for the committee, there were some like dead links, like page not found. So, I mean, I might be an anomaly and actually go to the Facebook for the city's page. I know most people 45 and under get a majority of their news from social media rather than other aspects. So that might be something I would suggest.
Commissioner Pauly.
If chosen, what do you think your role would be, and what would be your expectations as a member of the Urban Renewal Commission?
Expectation number one would be to attend the meetings. I can't, you can't be on a committee like this and not be there. I tend to be very neurotic like that when it comes to scheduling. Like, if I know I'm going to be gone, someone will know weeks in advance. One of the biggest roles as a member, I think, is, again, that communication aspect, where relaying the goals and how the committee wants to get from point A to point B when it comes to urban renewal, I think is one of the most important. I think that clears up a lot of the contention around urban renewal, has a much more of an understanding and a much more of a public buy-in when it comes to that.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I'm going to switch this up a little bit because I have a specific question for you.
Did the others get this question?
No.
Oh, okay.
And you'll understand why in just a minute.
Okay.
So you and I come from the same side of the aisle.
Okay.
And we have a lot of mutual friends in the party.
Sure.
And a great majority of those folks are vehemently anti-urban renewal.
Oh, yes, I've had cocktails with them.
So how are you going to
broach the subject?
Yeah, if you're on the, if you're selected for the Urban Renewal Commission, are you going to be able to vote to do projects, to open a new urban renewal area, those kinds of things? I'm concerned about that.
You're concerned that I would like stonewall projects? Is that kind of?
That's
I mean,
a concern.
to be
I'm
honest,
yeah, it's a concern.
Yeah, no, that's actually totally fine. No, I'm very interested in urban renewal. I think the city needs it. When I was growing up, the city, I mean, I've told you guys this before, that it was basically 24 taverns, Larry's Sporting Goods, and the open pit dump. I think urban renewal thus far has been a success. I think it's increased livability. I think it's increased economic opportunity. It's changed the identity of the city, and I think it's for the better. And I think that needs to continue.
Okay. So my actual last question was, do you have any additional comments? Is there anything that you would like to ask the commission?
I guess the biggest question I would have for the commission would be, what has been the biggest roadblock for smart, proactive urban renewal, and how you handled that, like on an individual?
A small minority of citizens.
Okay. That's fair enough.
The-
I mean,
the
I know what that
measure.
is.
The measure.
It was a small minority of citizens that made it very uncomfortable for developers, and so it was,
A couple of former commissioners and
yeah.
Are we referencing Cabela's or part of that, or?
Not necessarily, but
the rivers and other things.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah.
But now it's required a vote of the people for we have the measure, so there's more layers involved.
Sure.
I have a couple real quick questions that.
Go forth.
Okay, when you explained your general understanding of urban renewal, you did not mention TIF. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, what is
TIF?
TIF? Mm-hmm.
Tax increment financing.
Oh, yes, we've talked about this before. I tend to be not particularly risk adverse. I mean, I've got 4 boys. I can't be too risk adverse, but projecting taxes and revenue out into the future can always be a little risky. But being on the other budget committees, I know that we tend to be very fiscally conservative in our projections, and so for me, it's a smart risk. It's more of an investment rather than hedging your bets on future gains that may or may not be there. Like if we're projecting 6% over the next 7 years and we're budgeting at 2.5%, I think that's a fairly conservative estimate, and I would be supportive of something
Okay,
like
and
that.
another really quick question.
Yeah.
When you talked about specific projects, you mentioned the mill site. What about the other projects that we have going on right now in the current district? Are you familiar with those?
Besides like the beautification along Main Street, or
Besides that?
like the Cove.
The Cove,
Yeah.
and we have another potential one.
I'm not sure
The
of the other
landfill.
the landfill.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not familiar with the landfill project.
Okay.
I think the Cove project is actually a really interesting project. I remember like a couple of years ago, it's kind of changed, morphed a little bit. Originally, I think it was going to be kind of a mixed use with some residential. I don't know exactly what the specifics of it are, but I think it offers a very interesting potential for the city to kind of develop that area. As long as it's done, smartly, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it.
All right. Thank you,
very
Jim.
Thank you.
much.
See ya.
Thank you.
So we will adjourn